So I'll mute myself. Good morning, everybody. I'm Anila, and I'm working in the executive agency as head of sector for the monitoring sector in the executive agency. And together with my head of unit, Ralph Cladders, that you saw yesterday, we will go through the main elements of the new capacity building in higher education for the period 22-27. Before starting, I just wanted to remind a few technical issues. So in case you have questions, you can use the Q&A and not chats, because I think that will be the place where to post the question related to the program, and the chats can be for the greetings. While the Q&A, because the Q&A, you have the possibility to vote for a question which is already posted, and therefore we can reply to the questions for which the main interest is at the beginning. Clearly, here as well, I wanted to remind you that in the sessions after this session, especially regarding the training, by today the access is free, so you can join the training even if you have not been inside or is subscribed for the training courses. And as well, you have the same option as yesterday to use for the captions, which basically is not translation, but you'll see in written what we are talking today. So I think I would continue with the presentations, and I'll try to be short and to bring you to the main new elements of what are introduced for the new call. So context. I just wanted to say that the capacity building as itself for the period, and you are showing it, has been quite successful. And I think we have reached a lot of impact thanks to your projects in all regions, especially as well in what we call new region as Asia or Africa. And we're looking forward to work with you together to make a success the new program in the new period. So basically, in his context, the program will not change. He still will support quality and modernization of the higher education institutions, but with a bigger focus on reform and modernization of systems of higher educations, and mainly in the third countries. And you'll see the new nomination of partner countries in the current periods to third countries not associated to the Erasmus program, which I would refer to later stage as third countries because the sentence is too long. So basically, this program will continue to support the modernization of higher education in the system mainly. Besides that, I think what will be new for this, and you'll see it in a later stage, will be that this program will focus very much on sustainable development goals and the Paris Agreement, and will base in the recent trends, economical globalization, but human development fragility. So what will be the focus? And the focus for our program this time will be inclusion. And you'll see it how the structure of the program will support this inclusion. So we continue very much on equity and inclusion. So basically, we want to strengthen the systems and the universities in order to make them more equitable and accessible to people. So that basically here we have equitable and accessible higher education institutions and systems. And clearly we will continue, as in the previous program, to focus very much on the employability, meaning that what we are developing, higher education institutions produce students that are very much in terms of employability competitive for a better employment in the market today. What has been, and I think that's something that you'll see, we are striking and looking for global interventions in our institutions. So mainly the program, you'll see to a later stage, the structure will not go anymore with the modernization only by developing a curriculum or modernizing, but we would like to have a global intervention at higher education systems. So by developing curriculum, by modernizing governance, so basically, and what is one of the main important things is that we want more and more to link our projects with the economy and with the wider economic and social ecosystem, because this program for the future, we want to see one impact, a societal impact, a social innovation at the country and regional level. So, and as before, I think we would address regional issues, and of course, we would like very much that the projects and our capacity building projects will impact a country ownership. So basically, we'll strongly encourage that we have a country ownership on this process. So the purpose, I think, here I would like to underline that the focus is clearly on the needs of the third countries, and we would thank you very much all the institutions from the other countries eligible to that will contribute to address the needs of the third countries. We will targeting the priorities of the third countries, and that clearly, so basically it's not because somebody in Belgium would like to do like this and then he will do the project. So basically it's what the priorities of the program of the partner countries, and we would like, and this I think you heard yesterday very much, that we will strive for an impact and maximizing the benefit of the third countries institutions and systems from our capacity building projects. And you heard it yesterday, I think, from our colleagues in the DGs, the importance of impact and sustainability of capacity building projects for the countries. Objectives, I think, who has been here have knows this slides, but has been slightly changed based on what we are focusing. So you'll see the three elements: innovation, governance, accessibility. And I think this is a modernization. Those are elements for which we would like to be the main issues of this capacity building. We have added there what it is that our projects should have an impact to society, societal impact, so no project without that impact. Of course, we will continue as a very important issue, the cooperation and regional integration. I think very important, and all those it's about modernizing, a big word, higher education institution and higher education system. So basically, slightly the objectives have not drastically changed. They are a continuation of what, with a nuance and a focus more in accessibility, inclusion, but other priorities that you have heard yesterday, what we call today overarching priorities, which will come later. So in order to respond to these new requirements, making capacity building and more accessible, an inclusive capacity building in higher education, but meantime as well doing other things, we have structured the new program in 3 strands. So it's a new type of support. In order to facilitate, because there has been, it's very complicated, very nice, big tables, and the financing very demanding. So a new budget system, lump sum 2, is introduced. And as you may imagine, knowing what has happened with the other actions before, we will move to a new publication system, and this which is called TOP. And I think that would require many universities, I think, know it, who has been working with our colleagues in research, but it's a system which we would believe would require as well a certain adaptation from everybody. So let's go in one by one on those features and then see what they are. So 3 strands. We have introduced a strand 1. It's fostering access to cooperation in higher education. What we are expecting in this one. In this one, we are expecting to have a better access of little or newcomers, what we call newcomers. It is a big word. What is a newcomer? You'll have a clear definition on the program guide. What is a newcomer in the capacity building? But it's not only a newcomer in capacity building, but is a newcomer in cooperation as well. And I think that should be very clear. And in this state as well, we would like that through this strand, we would foster and will facilitate the participation of organizations to enhance their opportunities for cooperation, and in this case with our European universities. And we would focus as well very much in access, increasing accessibility and reaching people with fewer opportunity through the strand. So basically what we would like to reach with the strand is reducing the internalization gap of age from the same country and region. We are very much aware that in each country there are many institutions that you are there that have been applying several times, and we have not been able or have been little able to reach the certain institutions that are little. They didn't have capacity to manage 1 million because of the complexity of the action and the complexity of the financing modalities of this action. And this goes from both sides, from third country, but as well from the other side of the European. So all as a whole, I think we want to foster social inclusion, and with this social inclusion, it's addressing institutions and individuals. So basically, focus target groups, the main target groups, as we mentioned, will be from newcomers, so people who have never participated in cooperation or capacity building, but as well which have less experience. We know that certain universities have been involved in our partnerships, and they have been in a few projects, but we believe that there is still to continue there. Of course, the newcomers that never participated will be very much appreciated to participate, and that's the aim. And of course, we'll look for higher education institutions to increase the participation that are located, and that's the new, in the least developed countries, because all as a whole, this program remains a program which is subscribed in the framework of development strategy of the Commission for the least developed countries, and of course for higher education institutions which are located in remote regions and areas. And as I mentioned, social inclusion not only for the institutions, but as well for the individuals. And here we'd like very much that in those programs are more and more included people addressing individuals here, staff and students, and not only students with fewer opportunities. So basically how we'll do it, you'll see that we have activities in 3 main groups. So we would like with this strand, which we call small scale strand, because you'll see that the budget is up to 400,000 euro, can be short 24 to 36, and we would like to have enhanced management and administrative capacity of the third country institutions, ensure quality and relevant education, and what we would like the third, increasing the accessibility of student and staff. So basically, this is something that, as you see, we would expect that the people through this, or the higher education institutions in this strand. They will be modernized, they will create relations offices, centers, they will start to preparing strategy, student guidance, counseling job, and for them this will be the first-hand cooperation opportunity with their peers in Europe. So clearly you'll see there a number of activities which I have mentioned, but I think as well it is important and could be interesting as well to build, because I think we should find synergies between all actions of Erasmus. So I think together with the credit mobility and capacity building, we can be, we believe that we can even more build the capacities of the universities, and therefore could be very interesting for those new institutions to find ways to build capacity, how to support student and staff mobility activities. So ensure high quality, and I think clearly we here you would be interesting. Of course, we would expect that they would modernize certain modules, certain study programs, then might create new of them, establishing intensive study programs which are very short period studying periods, and of course training courses for higher education staff. So activities which really enable activities which would enable and will prepare the teachers and the staff, but not only the administrative and academic staff, for further cooperation and for entering in the biggest activities then of the capacity building. And of course, when we talk the accessibility of individuals, I think here it's much more interesting to see what type of activities. You'll see that we have introduced a number of activities which basically can be done in order from those universities. It's learning for vulnerable students or less fortunate, digital technologies, how this could be done in order to develop specific services for students. And we're putting very much, and I think for all capacity building, as was mentioned yesterday, I think should be very important that basically we're looking more and more that the students are not a passive figure or passive beneficiary in our program, but they become active, and therefore that would make the program better respond to their needs. So of course we are as well in terms of social inclusion, clearly as well to see how the universities can be more open and empowering women. Here can be empowering the staff as well, women staff in certain regions. In certain regions we know that women are more powerful than the men, but not in all regions, and of course in ethnic religion minorities. So all these activities as a whole will be in the Strand 1. Brief. I think it's a strand for which we would expect newcomers. It's a strand which should be simply. Application form should be, even if it's the same for the three, or at least for two strands, we would believe that should be easier. So activities are activities very much with think of somebody that is new in the program and really what they would need for starting the cooperation with the, so we call it, maybe for most of you this is still large scale, but in our jargon we call it small scale activity. It will be very interesting, and I think that is something that we would like to see, and we'll see how to access those institutions, because that at the end of the day will be the challenge of all of us, how to access those students. And here I think we would rely on all our actors in the field, in European delegations in the field, national Erasmus offices and national agencies as well from the European side, where they basically will, and of course in all universities, we believe that you all know where those universities are, and we want to encourage, saying that even if you know that will be a bit more difficult maybe working with them because you never worked before with them, you don't know, you don't have cooperation, but I think this is a strength for which it becomes of very important strength for the capacity building for the years 2022-27. So I strongly encourage all of you today, go and look, and you can look our statistics as well, and the list of the institutions which is published in our web, where you will see the institutions which are involved, institutions that are involved more than 3 times, 4 times, 7 times, 10 times, and 20 times. And then you can make a list from the countries of institutions which had never seen here in both sides. In terms of, I think that you should as well maybe thinking in terms of partnership. I think we would expect not large partnerships, because of course we are going to work here in a very specific areas and specific conditions, but clearly there will not be rules for that, but just an advice, maybe when you're thinking starting a partnership, don't start it with 10, 12, because people that never have working before an international cooperation might become very challenging to manage the project later stages. Strand 2, we have called it I think that gives you everything what is partnership for transformation. And basically here we would like to have really what I introduced at the beginning, a global intervention. This is open to the higher education institutions that have an experience in capacity building, bringing together with less experience. So it's not that you'll exclude the other ones, but mainly it's for the ones who now have been there, and it will be more based on a peer exchange. So basically we would like to build capacities. We have some of them, but we will build more. And the 2 key elements that will be there is innovation, and innovation with business involvement, and I think that's the key element. So basically here you'll not see anymore we developing a curriculum without business. So basically we would like to see we developing a curriculum, innovative curriculum, or we are modernizing, introducing innovative elements, because I mean, definition of innovation, I think that's it's quite large, but you'll see in the program guide, and that should be an innovation for the partner countries based on their needs and on their status where they stand today. So basically it's innovation with business involved, and here I think take that first phrase, business involvement, to maximize societal impact, which would require for this type of partnerships different profiles of organizations involved. And here we're talking local organizations in order to reach societal impact, public institutions, higher education institution, clearly people from business, in order to have this very varied partnership and very colorful partnership in order to ensure and maximize this impact. Of course, the other parts, I think you have seen those one. It's that we would like to see that together. You'll see that the amount remains quite high, and we believe that with that amount, you can do more, can be done more than only one curriculum. So basically, together with developing a curriculum, you can modernize by promoting reform, you can implement governance, you can create hubs, you can create high labs, and I think that's very important because you know that equipment as well for Strand 1, as they are very instrumental for starting cooperation, they would remain instrumental here as well, but here very much linked, not anymore computers, maybe, but really equipments that are related in creating modernized labs, and really they're things that are very important for innovation. So this, of course, it's targeting groups, it's all higher education is, so here I don't want to mention. Put there one thing, and I think yesterday came very clearly that we would like to involve very much students, staff, and learners. We would like as well that with our capacity building, we will not reach only who is at the universities, but as well learners who is already in the working environment and can upgrade their skills. So in line with long lifelong learning. And as well, we would like to see that in our activities, example, as it is a curriculum development, we more and more, we would like to see practical or what we can call internships, that the people can go in the business and do part of those curricula in order to ensure for better employability to a later stage. So here you'll see it's innovation and promoting higher education. It's the same 2020, 24 to 36 months, and you'll see the amount, which is quite high amount. Okay, so what are the activities? The activities, I think you who has been working before with capacity building knows them. Innovative curricula, innovative elements, so I will not mind that. And then what we would like very much here to mention that it opens a space a bit more for effectively networking, effectively in research, scientific and technological innovation. Our capacity building, we had a few projects that they really worked for the research here, nothing to do with what is the project with the research, not doing research, because we clearly know that that is not the aim of our capacity building, but preparing higher educations which are both for education and research, to making this link with the research and scientific and technological innovation. So basically, I think promoting reforms in higher education, I think it's institutional reform, and I will not enter there, with a big focus as well on digital skills, systems and structures. And I think the second one, which is very important, I think you have heard it and becomes very important, is the development of entrepreneurial mindset and improved competencies and skills within the institution. And yesterday, following the sessions of entrepreneurial, I think was the star of the sessions yesterday with the highest participations. And I think this is something that shows that entrepreneurial mindset this would require for the new program a lot of efforts by the institutions of located in the third countries. I think structural reform projects, I think this is one of why we have put it is in a strand, 3 separate strands. It's very important. You listened yesterday as well from our colleagues of DG NEAR. We have been able to show very clearly and very that we had impacted higher education level, what at the higher education institutions, what about at the system level for reforming the systems. For certain regions that becomes very important, and here I'm thinking of regions such as Western Balkans, where they'll join neighboring regions, because people, and I think it's very much required that we have projects that really would impact at the system level. We believe as well that the projects that are at higher education level, they impact the system, but would like to have this type of projects. So basically, what is new this time, the time that we can tell that this project will address mainly all the competent authorities for higher education, not only ministers, but competent authorities, will be partnerships which will include a variety of local stakeholders that are in higher education, but as well in other institutions, such example, Ministry of Finance, that, for example, Foreign Affairs, which have an impact in the implementation of higher education capacity building, because, of course, of rules of financing rules that might hit the cooperation they are. So it's a little bit more large. What is new as well, I think here we would like to see as well involved, because we believe that public authorities can learn from each other. So public authorities, I'm telling here ministries or competent authorities in the European countries can participate. Clearly cannot become a project between two ministries, but of course they can bring their added value, how they are working, how they are dealing. And what we'd expect that at a structural level, so basic system level, we'll tackle issues which are of very importance. Example, how to promote inclusive higher education system, how to increase the capacities of bodies which are in charge of higher education. And here you can think all the bodies that we have created, they are working well, they are working less well, are related with recognition, quality assurance. Of course, identifying synergy with other EU initiatives, foster national ownership. And I think that's the key element for our structural reform projects, because we would like that they really have this national ownership of all projects that we have been doing as well. So clearly regional, and what we would like at regional level to create common regional strategies in higher education, with the view of creating regional higher education area. Here we can think Latin America has been there, but in all regions or part of one region, we can create those areas. We can create systems which are comparable, that basically would facilitate mobility of students within one region. Here thinking intra-Africa as well. I think the other regions can be done, because we know that even within the regions we have sub-regions that basically are working on those conditions. So of course, as we said, it is clearly here at target groups, you understand, and this is the actions for which we would clearly go up to 1 million euros. And what we'd like as well, that these activities are policy making, and those policy expert advice, training on policy issues, establishment of representative bodies, and clearly mainstreaming of good experiences, mainstreaming of policies. And I think that's very important for many third countries who do not have this experience at system level. Implementation of tools. So basically, as I said, would like very much accreditation, having in place accreditation process, credit system, quality assurance. In many countries, those are existing, they may be modernized, that may be more good. And of course, we'd like very much that we go regard on Bologna type reforms. We would not require that for all regions, but we would like to say that we have an example in Europe which could be followed by the other countries. Types of projects, I think nothing has been changed compared to the previous program. So we have now national projects, HAZE from one country, and then third country, I'm talking all time third country, then multi-country, which is regional projects, countries from the HAZE from several countries, third countries located in one region, and then multi-country, which we call cross-regional projects, which are bringing together higher education institutions from countries, third countries not associated, belonging to several regions. At least for all of this, we would require two third countries associated to Erasmus plus EU member states. Okay, so nothing has been changed. Of course, when it comes to national and multi-country, what we would like very much to see is the relevance of the proposals, and you will see that in the award criteria. On the relevance of the proposal for the nationals, that has to be relevant for the country, but as well the relevance to the needs of all HAZE involved, while for a multi-country has to be relevant not only to the HAZE involved, but of course to all the countries if there is in a region, and relevant to all countries if they go go in the other regions. And of course, that's what we would like to see, that basically we have an involvement, active involvement, clear involvement, and clear benefits. And we would like to mention and we would like to underline that our projects are made for benefits of the higher education institutions and systems in the third countries. We know very much that our colleagues and our institutions in European side, they'll have to have a benefit, but in their mind, the main benefit should go to the because everybody benefits from the exchange of experience, but the main benefit should go to the third countries. So new regional priorities, and I think here I would not put myself there, because I think you heard those overarching priority yesterday quite a lot, and today I have done green my presentations to be in line with the Green Deal. So overarching priority Green Deal, you'll see I'm very green. It's green as well because I believe that with the new action, I think with the new features that we have introduced, we will be able as well to tackle all those issues that we have not been able to tackle with the current program. So green is for Green Deal and hope, and then I think that will be my presentation. I'm not going of those. We are still, you'll see in a definition, if there will be regional priorities, how they would look, those regional priorities, but I will not go on those discussions because yet discussion has not been finalized. Of the regions, I think they have not been changed because the world has not been changed so much, but I think I want to underline here that there are two new, so basically Latin America and Caribbean, I think they will be involved and they will be working with, it's a dedicated budget as well for the Caribbean region, and we would like to, I mean, of course, and Pacific regions. From the Pacific regions, you'll see in the program guide that certain countries, such as high income countries, Australia and New Zealand, will not be involved in capacity building, of course, because, and you'll see that Afghanistan has moved from Asia to Central Asia, and Caribbean, I think they are all there and they will be all working with us. But when it comes to more detailed eligibility criteria, I think you'll hear more on our info sessions that we will do once the publication of the call is done. And I go in the new budget type on the what that consists. This is an approach basic principles. So basically in basic principles. So we are going, I don't know if you have heard, if you have not heard, so basically we're going on lump sum 2. Basically what that would mean that you have to provide a detailed estimation of cost split of lump sum per work package and per beneficiary at the application level. Okay, evaluators will assess cost details, they will give recommendation to the agency, and then at the contractualization phase, based on this recommendation, a lump sum is fixed during grant preparation. So what happened later? So basically, in order to fix this lump sum, there are different work packages that you have to fill in, the same as you do today, but then for each work packages, you have to give clear what are the staff cost, equipment used, and everything. So basically, there's all work packages will come together in a puzzle, and then of course we'll see what will be the total budget in a recap table, which it's nicely done by our colleagues, and therefore we will see what means at the budget. Now, clearly, a work package, it contains different activities, and therefore you'll go for different activities. And here you will see what could be examples. Certain horizontal work packages, such as the management dissemination, may be approached very differently. So what means the lump sum? What is for you? So you will divide it in work packages, which reflect in the budget attached to the application, and in which work packages basically you have to identify the activities, outputs, milestones, and deliverables. It's more or less what you have been doing till now, and all the budget will go together with those work packages. So what is new, because of course you have been doing that before, the new it is that this basically you'll be once that this amount is established, we will continue to focus more on the content part, and at the end of the project, if the project has reached all objectives and all activities that they have promised at application level, the budget stays with you. So no anymore recovery, okay? What we can do recovery, and I think that's very important, if any of the activities that you have mentioned in the work package is not implemented or is not implemented qualitatively, and therefore more detailed you are on activities and on the costs related to the activities, that will help everybody to identify at the end of the project what part can be recovered if needed to be recovered. Going to lump sum doesn't mean that there are no any more rules. The rules are there, and there are the rules of the financial regulation, which are established by the European Commission. So the rules are there, but you don't have to come every single moment to the agency asking authorizations and saying what I should do, what I should do. You can come, we can have a chat, but I think you will be much more free to use the budget for the needs of your project and to move from one work package to another work package, not anymore from staff cost to subcontracting, but from one work package to another work package in accordance with the need of the project during its implementation. I mean, I mentioned here how to apply, and I think here, of course, it's a top, and I think here it's tender opportunities. Here you have a website. I think you will have the regional priorities, and of course we'll publish as well the budget for each of the regions, so you'll know there what will be. So our criteria, nothing has been changed. I think the same will be. Of course, the content inside has changed, but I will not go in those. So basically, 4 award criteria, which will be a threshold in order to be accepted, but we'll give them to a later stage once the call is published. What is assessed, and I think all of you know that being part of development and being part of a budget which is related to the external relation policy, our evaluation committee that is basically will take in consideration very much the feedback from a consultation process from the EU delegations, and of course we would take as well in consideration the budget available for each region and strength and the need to achieve a geographical balance within a region. From the budget of view, that you know that wise region and strength, because we will have an indicative budget for each strength, which can be moved from one strength to another strength in case needed. So it's not a fixed budget and then we'll not spend it. But of course we can move, if not enough good projects in Strand 2, we can move it in Strand 1 or Strand 3, depending, and that will evaluation committee will take a decision, and of course we will base all in a ranking list which is established on the quality by the independent experts. So consultation of EU delegation, this is very important part that has been and continues to be, even with a stronger impact for our new program. So we would recognize that the EU delegation we have much more active role in the selection and especially in the implementation of in the implementation of the capacity building. So basically, they will ask them on the recognition of higher education that the project is addressing the needs of target countries. And you see the last one overlapping with the 16 initiatives, because putting focus on innovation would like to get out that our projects are overlapping with initiatives such as World Bank, or repeating, or simple mere continuations, because of course we would like that we fund something which is not overlapping with other initiatives. And then of timeline, we're looking that we will publish a call second half of November with the start of projects end of 22, and here deadline, and start thinking now mid-February. I think March, we'll avoid what, depending very much on the publication of call, but calculate yourself, put your effort starting in February, and then we'll get in August, here in red, August 2022, the answer. So I think that's all from my side. Ralph, would you like to add something to my presentation that maybe I did not mention, you want to focus, to underline, and then we go questions and answers?
Thank you, Anila. No, I have no particular remarks on the presentation. The only thing I would say concerning Strand 1, we made an impact analysis on the different regions, on the success of the previous Erasmus program, and one of the main points was that, or came out of the impact study, is that there was a need for a smaller Strand in order to welcome newcomers. And that we have taken into consideration in the present call, and I think you will well appreciate this measure. Also, the higher amounts that Anila said in the previous program, we cut it down to 400 for the small strands, and also this was a kind of demand when we consulted our stakeholders on the implementation of the last program. So we have tried, there are other things which we have also tried to take into account from our impact studies that we made, but I will not go into this. But just to tell you, we did not just invent things for the new program, but we based it on an evidence-based impact studies. Thank you very much, Anila.
Okay, I think, thank you, Ralph. We go on questions and answers. Carla, maybe we put the first question, not the first answer. Will you post your presentation online? Which website should I check for these fair presentations? Carla, can you reply, I think? Can we have presentations of fair somewhere? I must admit that
Anita, I think we can say that we will do what we have, we can clearly post it.
I think we will inform you, post it, but clearly we'll say. I just want to underline here as well that take note that different events will be organized as from the beginning of November. I think our colleagues in national agencies, they are really organizing the first promotion activities. We as an agency will start with the promotion activities, and I think Adrian, the DG Education and Culture is organizing a big event, which is a worldwide seminar for all international dimension, which will be as well in November. So we'll post all those in our website, the dates of those events, so that you have to go even more on those activities to see, because we'll go even more in details how to fill in an application, how to prepare a competitive proposal. So that could be interesting for you to follow the first session. This is just putting you in a mood of a new capacity building. So yes, we'll post somewhere, but unfortunately in this moment I don't know in which website. We'll check. My colleagues maybe will come to a number. Okay. So next question. I think they are coming a lot, Carla. You stress importance. Do you consider business? Yes, of course. In Strand, when we say business participation, of course, we would like very much to see civil society organization, as we said, local actors, because in order to reach societal impact, we would like those, because we know the importance of these institutions in having impact at local level. So yes, it is for civil society organization. Of course, being green, and I think here you have seen an overarching, it's not only addressing a thematic which is environmental, but we want to raise awareness of the implementation of all our projects, that many activities can be done virtual and hybrid. So basically, we make a greener world. So that is very much with making awareness, raising awareness, and making our projects green. So yes, go as much as possible for your virtual and hybrid activities in the new program. As yesterday mentioned, now the experience is there. So I think we shouldn't use this experience. Unfortunately, that we got from a major event, which none of us would have liked to have it, but I think that's very important that we continue with the virtual. What will be the status? I think in the project in Strand 2 partnership, the status, I think I would like to have those, I don't see the question all, but is that a part of, continues this question, Carla?
So, which will be the status for the business representatives in Strand 2?
We would like to have them in at least in many of our partnership for transformation, especially if this is related to development of curriculum, if this is related to career centers, if this is developing with entrepreneurship and everything. So basically, yes, there will be a status for them as partners, but of course they will not benefit from the equipment, so they will be full partners in our Strand 2 partnership transformation.
We are running a little bit out of time. I just post the last question. Is that okay for you?
Okay, we can expect the calendar. We'll know more about regional priorities soon. We'd like very much to know soon as well, and we'll post the regional priorities together with the other documents in the call. For the calendar, I think we prepare yourself, most probably second half of February as a deadline. And I think that's very important that you prepare yourself. So newcomer relate more to institutions, or individuals relate to the institutions. Individuals we can have thousands of, but the newcomers relate to the institutions. Mainly in the third countries, but as well in the other side, in the European countries. So we would like to have, newcomers, new fresh, new ideas, and what are the minimum for new applicants? Minimum for new applicants, I think those are the same as they have been before. Everybody can be an applicant with few restrictions for certain countries, but all higher education institutions can be applicant for the new program. So I think that's no changes regarding from third countries as from the European countries. So you have to be recognized higher education institution. That's for sure, in order to be an applicant, but as well for participating or having an European HF or the other part of the Europeans. So for the new, how will be about identifying possible beyond the virtual representing copper belt. As I said, I think here it's very interesting how we will, and for that I said it's the challenge of all of us together, how to find the newcomers. Okay, And of course, we believe that we will not have partnerships only with the newcomers, because of course, I think the people cannot, we cannot have all newcomers, but for the Strand one, I mean, we focus it's the newcomers. How we'll find them? I would strongly advise you to start contacting the EU delegations in the countries, our national Erasmus offices in the neighboring countries, in order to find out where are those newcomers, okay, and how to contact those newcomers, because of course maybe we'll have a list of the newcomers, but how to get in contact with those newcomers. So I think that's very important to identify those newcomers.
This is really the last one. Promised after
yeah,
this one,
the applicant, yes, of course, and we really push on that, because we have the experience that if the heads of third countries are applicants, they are much more owner of project results, and that makes part of capacity building as well. If they learn how to manage international projects, it's part of our aim as a capacity building. So yes, go for that as much as you can. Of course, if the institution has accepted to do that, because I think that's part of our capacity building. So no more questions. Anyway, I think if you have questions related to the new program and to the new call, we will soon open our our mailbox. It's open, and of course you can send all questions to our mailbox. And of course our colleagues in the selection sector will create a frequently asked questions as well with answers. But at this stage we are waiting for publication of the call.
Anila, may I just say before we finalize, we have also planned info sessions, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they will take place in early December. Would you just like to say something about this?
I think we will have a general information session, which will follow the worldwide seminar that DG Education and Culture is preparing for all international dimension, and that will go more in detail how to prepare competitive application and how to go for the new system. And then of course we are preparing a separate info session for the newcomers. So I would like to reach out as to have the first contact with the newcomers, which will go in a different details, because there we have to explain different details how to start cooperation and how to enter in capacity building. And we are foreseeing, at least for time being, a big event for Africa, because here I get the opportunity maybe to let all you know that for Africa region, it seems it's the priority of the international dimension, not only of the capacity building. So the budget will be increased compared to what has been in the current program, and therefore in order to make a better absorption and to have all countries of Africa, which is it's a huge challenge in front of us, but in front of you as well, to have them also. We will have an info session addressing Africa, and then maybe later addressing Asia, which are the two regions for which we would need to increase participation from different countries in the region. And of course, here I take opportunity for all the other regions, especially neighboring regions. Our national Erasmus offices are organizing info sessions, so I would strongly encourage you to participate on those info sessions. And thank you very much from my side and for your interest, and we'll continue replying to your questions, and I wish you all success for the second half of this day. And then of course looking forward to see especially the newcomers that are here today in our new program, but of course our coordinators and partners that have been working with us in the current program. Thank you very much, and bye-bye from the sunny Brussels today.
Bye-bye.